Darlings, welcome to my bedroom and welcome to my 2021 favorites video. In this video we have skincare, makeup, hair care, fragrance, nails, activewear. This is the best of the best, according to me. Let's disregard this little guy. Here's my microphone, but let's begin with some skincare. So I have here the Fancl Mild Cleansing Oil. This is a Japanese beauty brand, and for years and years I was infatuated with the Fancl Mild Cleansing Oil. I would not shut up about it. If you've been around for a while, you likely remember. And I saw it again in a physical store recently after not thinking about it for so many years, and I wondered, is the Fancl Mild Cleansing Oil as good as I remember? So I picked it up, and let me just say, this is the best cleansing oil I have ever tried. This gives me like effortless 100% makeup removal, even those, long wearing eyeliners and mascaras. The viscosity is perfect for a really nice facial massage, and then it emulsifies really readily and easily, and it rinses cleaner than any other cleansing oil that I've tried. I mean, what more could you want? Welcome home. Onto moisturizer, I've got here the Fresh Rose Deep Hydration Face Cream. So I gathered that this product actually has quite a cult following. So you might be familiar with it, but it was brand new to me, and this stuff is epic. It's mega hydrating. I have a dry skin type and I find this to be adequately hydrating. It leaves the skin really plump and dewy, and it sits beautifully under makeup. This is one of my favorite bases for makeup. It's just like the perfect amount of slip that allows you to blend all the products, but not so much slip that your products continue moving throughout the day. It's A+. I suspect that this is probably suited to more of your normal to drier skin types because it is quite a cocoon-like sensation. So I noticed that the next morning when I wake up and I rinse my face, I can actually feel a little bit of that moisturizer rinsing off. It just seems to kind of envelop the skin in this beautiful cocoon throughout the day or throughout the night. And when I stopped using this product, I noticed that my skin protested. So I think that means it's very deserving of a spot in my 2021 favorites. I've got another moisturizer. This is the IT Cosmetics Hello Results Wrinkle-Reducing Daily Retinol Serum-In-Cream. It's a mouthful. I'm really grateful that IT Cosmetics sent this product to me because I'm not sure that I would have picked it of my own accord if I was browsing the aisles. But when I'm using this moisturizer, my skin is on cloud 9. This is no exaggeration. My skin is juicy and plump, and the texture feels really even, and even my skin tone appears less red in the cheeks. Look, I don't want to speak too much on the efficacy of the retinol in this product because I'm not a cosmetic chemist. The texture, I would say, is quite similar to the Fresh Rose cream, also quite similar to the Dermalogica Skin Hydrating Mask. If you're familiar and you enjoy that one, I think you'll also enjoy this. I'm a big fan of this hygienic product delivery system, so you don't have to worry about contaminating your jar of moisturizer. And again, I would say probably better suited to those of you who identify as having a little bit more of a drier skin type, but I do think that maybe if you're more combo and oily, it would be a nice one for an evening moisturizer. Just thrilled to have discovered that, and I will repurchase again and again. In 2021, I really tried to be super vigilant about my sunscreen every single day because it's hot in Australia. We have a very strong sun. Also, I was on Accutane, so my skin was already quite vulnerable. So I tried a number of sunscreens, and I'd like to first give a shout out to Violette, which is an Australian brand of sunscreens. I really trust Australian sunscreens. They go through rigorous testing to make sure that they're protecting the skin adequately. So we've got here Violette Skinscreen SPF 50+. So this comes in a bit of a pipette dropper bottle situation, and this stuff is very fluid, very lightweight. It's dimethicone heavy, so it makes for a beautiful base for makeup. One caveat. This is going to be better for the drier skin types. The drier you are, I think the more that you will enjoy this because it is very glossy and it creates a considerable amount of slip on the skin, which I just don't think is going to be a great fit if you have like an oilier skin type and you like to wear makeup. Everything's going to move around a bit. But if you're dry skinned, that stuff is definitely worth trying. Also from Violette, the Sunscreen Hydrating Facial Sunscreen. So this has a little bit more of a typical cream sunscreen kind of texture. It's not as fluid as the Skinscreen, but this one does create considerably less slip on the skin. So I find that it's better suited to really hot, sweaty days, or maybe if you have a little bit of an oilier skin type. Yeah, bomb. Oh, I have one more sunscreen. This is the Dr.G Airy Skin Up Sun Plus. Dr.G is a Korean brand, K-Beauty, and I actually purchased this because the lady at the store told me, like, I really like this stuff, you should try it. And I said, okay, girlfriend, I'm gonna try your favorite. And she was right, this stuff is bomb. So it has SPF 50 plus, PA plus, that's 4 pluses, very impressive. It employs a myriad of organic or chemical sunscreen filters to protect the skin from the sun. I think the real wow factor with this product is how cosmetically elegant it is. It is so gel and lightweight and fluid. It spreads really easily. There is no white cast. It doesn't do any weird textural things or peel under makeup. It sits beautifully under makeup actually. I do believe that there is some alcohol in this product. It hasn't irritated my skin even when I've used it every day. Also, the chemical filters don't seem to irritate my eyes, which is nice. And I think that this is going to be one that a lot of skin types will enjoy. It has a slightly dewy finish, but it's not so heavy or claggy or greasy that oily skins are going to have trouble. I think that this is... Why aren't more people talking about this? Why haven't I heard more about you? All right, let us talk about some makeup that blew me away in 2021. This is the SUQQU Nude Wear Liquid Foundation. I have the shade 025. So quick backstory here. Australia, like much of the world, went into lockdown in 2021, and our only opportunity to work out was working out outside. And even though I was really vigilant about my sunscreen, I still got a little bit of color. I tan pretty easily. And so I went shopping my makeup stash to see if I had a good color match. And I came across this SUQQU foundation. I started using it for the color match, but the more I used it, the more I grew an appreciation for this formula. There is some magic dust in this formula. It is exquisite, and it is the only foundation really that I've been reaching for a number of months, even over all my other holy grails. I think these dropper style foundations have come a really long way in the past few years. Initially, they were quite dry, chalky formulas with a lot of alcohol that just sort of dried out the skin. But this is new wave technology. It is so feather light. It absolutely looks like skin, it feels like skin. I just put a few dots over the face and bounce it in with a beauty blender. It takes 30 seconds. It blends like a dream. I would eyeball this coverage at sort of sheer to medium, depending on how you prep your skin, how you apply. I tend to do a light layer all over the face, and then I'll go in strategically and just add a little bit more coverage, say to my rosy cheeks, and I can achieve a more medium coverage there. The finish is just sublime. It is slightly dewy, but not so glossy that it draws attention to texture or peach fuzz. It's the perfect amount of dewy. It resists settling into lines. It has fabulous longevity. This is the kind of foundation that I apply it and I take my magnifying mirror and I go in the direct sunlight and I inspect my skin and it still looks like skin. And that's the most important thing for me when selecting a foundation. Let's talk concealers, under eye concealers specifically. I just turned 31 this year. It's not old, none of that silliness, but I do feel as though my under eye requirements are changing, right? I've got some fine lines. I'm definitely noticing more bluish discoloration. So I like to have a wardrobe of concealers. And let me tell you, there are times where I will use 4 different concealer formulas on a single makeup application. Sue me. So I first like to go in with the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. And this is a pot style concealer. It's very dimethicone heavy. You can feel that kind of velvety slip between your fingertips. I like to use this primarily on the innermost portion of my under eye just to cut where I'm most blue, because this concealer has fabulous coverage. And then I like to pair it with something more emollient for the larger under eye area, because I find that sometimes, again, depending on where my skin's at or how I've prepped my skin, this one can look a little bit dry alone. That's why I like to mix. Do I like this for facial concealing? Yeah, I have used it for kind of around the nose, a little bit on the cheeks to conceal some redness, but I find that I have to prep my skin really well and probably pair it with a dewy foundation. Otherwise, I notice that it can get a little bit dry and crusty throughout the day. The primary purpose for this concealer for me is just to really cut those blue circles in the innermost corners. I'm very appreciative of the vast and carefully considered shade range in this formula. So they have lots of different undertones depending on the purpose. So they've got a lot of peachy tones, like this one here, Cannelle, which is great for cancelling or balancing those blue tones. Or if you prefer something a little bit more of a standard warm tone, you got something like Custard. They have this throughout all of the depths. It's a really well thought out shade range. This concealer was released how many years ago now? And I still see creators talk about it all the time. And it's because it's an epic formula. I think for me, this is kind of entered with the NARS classic line, right? Your orgasm, your sheer glow. I think that this concealer has made its way up to those ranks. A big thank you to today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes from expert creatives who are generous enough to share their craft with us. I actually joined Skillshare years ago now because a fellow content creator, a friend, recommended it to me. And over the years, I have learned so many new programs and skills to level up my content here on YouTube, but also I've really enjoyed exploring new hobbies, AKA my shameless houseplant infatuation. So I take my New Year's resolutions very seriously, and in 2022 my New Year's resolutions are to be more intentional about creating joy in my life and also to strengthen the relationship that I have with myself. So this class really spoke to me. It's called The Ultimate Self-Care Discovery Playbook by Jonathan Van Ness, who speaks about journaling methods to create more joy in your life and to better connect with your passions. I only just started journaling properly this year, so I have lots to learn. If you would like to know more, then hit the link in the description box. The first 1,000 people to use that link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so that you can try before you buy. Thank you so much, Skillshare. Now let's head back to concealer. Armani Luminous Silk Concealer. Is anyone surprised? Armani, I just think, really nails complexion. They've got it. This to me is really practical, real life, everyday kind of makeup. I just paint these onto my face, sometimes without even a foundation, and just pat it in with my fingers and then rush out the door. I use the shade 4, which is a neutral shade, more for kind of highlighting, bringing light to certain areas of the face. And then I like the shade 5.5 for more kind of concealing redness or maybe kind of a little bit on the chin, around the mouth, that sort of thing. They retain some emollients. They don't really set down bulletproof throughout the day, but I think that that makes them wear more elegantly as the day progresses. They just sort of fade away nicely. And Holy Grail, new Holy Grail from Armani. This was an interesting discovery, the NARS Laguna Sun Kiss Bronzing Cream. So primarily I'm mentioning this because of the shade. It very much mimics the color that I naturally tan. The formula is kind of similar to like Chanel Bronze Universelle. It's again that dimethicone, velvety, moussey type of formula. I just bounce my beauty blender in and take it around a bit around the hairline, on the cheekbones, maybe down the neck. I do have a little bit of beef with this product. It's mega pigmented, which I'm sure some people are gonna love. For me, I find myself accidentally over-applying sometimes, so I just have to be quite careful about removing any of the excess product off the beauty blender before I start going in, because otherwise I get Bahamas so fast. As long as I'm careful with application, this bronzer is a very believable kind of bronze on my skin tone. All right, let's talk blushes. A lot of the time I'm wearing cream blushes or I'm wearing a lipstick on my cheeks, but this year I really fell in love all over again with Chanel powder blushes. So years and years ago, I used to love, what is it, Espiègle? I mispronounced that, but it was a beautiful peachy shade, and I thought to myself when I was at the Chanel counter, hey, I want to try another Chanel blush, and I want to remember what that was all about. And they're just sublime. It's a baked formula. It's a very sheer blush, so it's buildable. You can apply 3 or 4 layers and kind of blend as you go. It never gets choppy. There is definitely something soft focus in this formula because it makes my cheeks look a little bit airbrushed. It never goes choppy or patchy, even if I apply it over a tacky base. They're just foolproof. It's never a bad blush day when I use Chanel blushes. This is a new shade in my collection. This is Rose Initial. I would like to see them come out with more shades, but you know, a girl can wait. A girl can wait. Eyeshadow. I have a small eyeshadow quad of sorts. This is the Victoria Beckham Tweed Smoky Eye Brick. I did not expect to love this as much as I do. It's actually, this color story is a touch warm for my personal tastes, but the formula is just so wow that I find myself reaching for it all the time. I'm not exaggerating when I say that this eyeshadow practically blends itself. Even the deeper shades, I've never once had this eyeshadow go choppy or unblended on me, even when I was in a rush. I also love that you get a really bold color payoff straight away. You're not sitting there for 20 minutes laboriously trying to build color to get your smoky eye. It's just bam, straight away. So, dear Victoria, what I would like to see is a more neutral, cool tone, putty, fawny kind of color scheme in this exact eyeshadow formula. That would float all of my boats. Love, Karima. The Byredo Space Black Mascara, this phallic looking thing here. Let me tell you the story of this mascara. So I purchased it for a Shop With Me video. Love that series. A lot of my favorites come from my Shop With Me videos. I think because I put so much thought into wish listing the items and Googling all the swatches. And I find that when I invest a lot of time and energy into making my purchases, I seem to appreciate them more than if I just bought something on a whim. The Space Black Mascara I purchased for a Shop With Me video, I ummed and ahed. Could I possibly spend $70 on a mascara? And you know, finally I caved. Absolutely fell in love with it. It was like a holy grail mascara from first try, and then I lost it. I had to again ask myself, like, am I going to spend another $70 on this mascara? And the answer is yes, I did. Let me tell you about the things that I like. Number one, the wand is quite small. It's quite petite, so I don't find that I accidentally, you know, hit my eyeshadow or get any black smudges anywhere. The wand is a plastic comb, but it does a really great job of gripping each lash. I wiggle this at the base of the lashes and then slowly comb through, and I find that that gives me the most beautiful result. It separates, it gives volume and length, and the longevity is actually amazing. I mean, probably my favorite mascara of all time. I do want to give a shout out to the Amaterasu liquid brow liners. So these are brow pens. They have a very fine brush tip nib. The color selections are really well thought out. All of the shades lean quite ashy. I think my favorite shade, the one that looks most natural in my brows, is the shade Cacao. It's almost like a watercolor effect. And I like to use this after I've done the powder in my brows just to add some initial texture and maybe just elongate the tail a little bit, kind of fill in any areas where I've got some bald patches. This is a controversial opinion, but I think I do prefer these to the SUQQU brow pens. I do prefer the Amaterasu because I find that the color selection is a little bit more neutral. SUQQU redid their color selection recently and it wasn't my favorite. And I also like that the Amaterasu has a little bit more of a stiffer nib, which I find if you have a lot of brow hairs just helps to kind of get through the brow hairs and straight onto the skin. So yeah, a small brand that I love and that I think that you guys should check out, Amaterasu. I have another architectural beauty here from Byredo. This is the Byredo lipstick in Earth Dust. And this became an absolute handbag staple straight away because it is my perfect My Lips but better. It is the exact same shade as my lips, just a bit cuter and a little bit fresher. And I find that I can just dab this on without a mirror while I'm in an Uber or what have you. It just completes whatever makeup look I'm wearing. They're super comfortable. My bullet is so scratched up because it's just been rolling around in my handbag. If you ask me which lipstick I wore most this year, that was definitely it, because it's easy and it's beautiful. I have a nail polish discovery. There are a few things that brighten my mood, like a fabulous manicure. I just love looking down at my hands and seeing color. It makes me happy. It just boosts my mood. And so in 2021, you know, I was trying a lot of different brands, right? I went bougie. I bought a Chanel polish, a Tom Ford, Dior. I was getting excited about nails, and I do think that the high-end brands do a great job of color. Right, they really kind of get interesting hues. But I was getting a bit frustrated because I was spending a lot of money on these nail polishes, and I was finding that the formulas were quite thick and gooey, and then the brushes were not intuitive and they were fraying a little bit. And so I was getting kind of frustrated. And then I discovered the Revlon Ultra HD Snap, and these blew me away. First of all, they're almost one coaters. Like, I put on a second coat just to make it look as vibrant as possible, but you probably don't need to. And then I find that they dry super fast, which is important for me because, you know, 5 minutes after I've painted my nail polish, I must pee at that very moment. And then the brush itself is large and intuitive, and it doesn't fray at all. Most impressively, I get about 4 or 5 days wear out of these nail polishes before the tip wear becomes significant enough that I want to redo my nails. This might not sound that impressive to you if you typically get 4 or 5 days out of your nail polish, but my nails are so crap. I rarely get 48 hours out of my manicures, hence why I'm mentioning them today. All right, let's talk hair care. 2021 was a challenging year for my hair. First, I came off birth control, and I think that big hormonal shift in my body led to quite a bit of hair loss. I want to say that I lost maybe 30-40% of my hair. And then I started Accutane, or oral Isotretinoin, and that really did a number on my hair as well. My hair was just dry and misbehaving, and lots of frizzies and all of this regrowth that, you know, was growing back, and it was just a mess. Every time I looked at my hair, it was like too hard basket. So I thought that I might invest in a few nice hair care products that would help to tame that unmanageable mop. And so I purchased the Orbe shampoo for moisture and control. And this was one of the few things I felt made a difference to my really dry, frizzy hair. If you have normal, lovely hair, this is likely not a concern for you, but if you really struggle with dry hair and frizzy hair, I think that this stuff is a standout. Yeah, a very moisturizing shampoo that really helped with my chronically dry hair there. I also have a hair mask from Way. This is the fine to medium treatment mask. I really liked this because it was the perfect weight. So I would apply this before bed and then let my hair kind of soak it up overnight and then rinse it out in the morning. It's just moisturizing enough to really condition the hair, make the hair soft and manageable, but it's not so heavy that I felt that it weighed down my rather fine hair. I've now made it a big part of my routine to be constantly masking my hair because it needs it. Let us talk fragrance, one of my all-time favorite topics to discuss. I have to make another fragrance video because my fragrance collection here is evolving and I must show you. But one of the fragrances that I reached for most in 2021 is the Jo Malone Scarlet Poppy Malone Intense. I just became so besotted with this, and I thought, why do I love this so much? Let me look up the note breakdown, and it's primarily an amber fragrance. Love amber. There's also quite prominent notes of fig. I smell a lot of fig here, and also heliotrope. So heliotrope is a small flower, but it's reminiscent, the smell of kind of like marzipan or almond, a little bit of a cherry element there. And heliotrope is one of my all-time favorites. Every time I see it, I know I'm gonna love the fragrance, and this is a really good example. I would describe this as warm and cozy and yummy, but still really elegant and expensive. It's good for day, for night, for summer, for winter. Like, I just cannot get enough of it. And because this is part of the Malone Intense line within Jo Malone's offerings, I find that the longevity is great. A lot of Jo Malone colognes don't last too long. They're light and spritzy, but this one has fabulous longevity. I cannot say enough good things. While we're talking fragrance, let's talk Serge Lutens. I had the absolute pleasure of working with Serge Lutens this year, and without going song and verse as to why this is so important to me, it was just a real full circle moment. I'm very proud of the work that I created as well. If you're feeling generous, go to Instagram and give it a like, give it a comment. But as part of that campaign, I worked on 2 fragrances. The first is Le Fil de Berlin, which is a jammy rose. It's a big, glamorous jammy rose, but there's also a bit of geranium in there and some Palmarosa, which I think gives it a little bit more of an interesting herbaceous element. It's not just your standard linear rose. There's lots going on here, and just such a big, glamorous evening fragrance for me. Also the Serge Lutens Un Bois Vanille, which is such a throwback for me. This smell is burned into my brain. I wore it for a long time. So again, very special for me. And this is, if you enjoy vanillas, you'll like this one, I think. There are some interesting deviations from your typical vanilla fragrances. So there's a little bit of a black licorice in there, which you only catch sometimes, but it just makes it a little bit more interesting and grown up. I definitely get whiffs of like a beeswax, like a very organic kind of beeswax note. And also there is some almond in there, and we know how I feel about almond. This is one I think that sits more close to the skin. It doesn't follow you around the room, but when someone comes to give you a hug, they'll get that Un Bois Vanille goodness. I also want to give a shout out to these Still Nest earrings that I purchased earlier on in the year. They have this really interesting vertical element that almost makes it look like this pearl is just hanging off the crest of your ear. It's a little bit of a optical illusion, and I think it's just really beautiful. I get lots of compliments on these because I think they're quite unique. They have an interesting sculptural shape. Last year, I believe that I spoke about the Lululemon Align leggings, and those are still a favorite, but I have a new contender, a formidable opponent. These are by the brand Elite 11. I purchased these myself. I didn't get any discount or anything like that. And let me tell you about the things that I love about this activewear. First of all, I love the crossover detail at the waist. I think a little bit of a taper or a chevron or that kind of shape really helps to elongate, and it's quite a flattering look. I like that this one doesn't have a front seam, so much reduction in camel toe, but there is a seam on the butt. So you don't just get one butt cheek, you get 2 butt cheeks, which is ideal. This fabric is really nice and velvety, and it has some compression. It's not as soft or as matte in finish. Trust me to make this about matte and glossy. It's not as matte a finish as the Lululemon Aligns. I do like a matte legging, but I think that this fabric is probably a little bit more durable. And it's not a shiny legging. I wouldn't be on board for a shiny legging. I like the length. It's like a good 7/8 length for me. And I do like the Elite 11 matching tops as well. I find when I wear a matching activewear set, I just feel more in control of my life. So I lean into that as much as I can. I do find that the Elite 11 tops run a bit large. Even the smaller size is probably not keeping my boobs put while I skip. But I do really like the tops, and I wanted to give those a shout out because I think that I like these almost as much, if not more actually, than my Lululemon Aligns, and these are better price point. So check them out if you like activewear. Thank you so much for coming over. It was great to chat with you as always. Let me know in the comment section down below if you just had to pick 1 or 2 product discoveries that really blew your socks off in 2021, what would they be? Let me know in the comment section down below. I can't wait to read all of your responses. Also, come say hello to me on Instagram if you feel like it, at Karima McKimmie. I hope you're having the best day, and I will chat to you soon. Bye.